saktānām, pramattānām, tad-īhayā, atyakrāmad, avijñātaḥ, kālaḥ, parama-dustaraḥ, evaṁ gṛheṣu saktānāṁ, pramattānām tat-īhayā, atyakrāmat avijñātaḥ, kālaḥ parama-dustaraḥ, evaṁ gṛheṣu saktānāṁ, pramattānām tad-īhayā, atyakrāmat avijñātaḥ, kālaḥ parama-dustaraḥ, evaṁ gṛheṣu saktānāṁ, pramattānām tat-īhayā, atyakrāmat avijñātaḥ, kālaḥ parama-dustaraḥ, evaṁ gṛheṣu saktānāṁ, pramattānām tad-īhayā, atyakrāmat avijñātaḥ, kālaḥ parama-dustaraḥ, evaṁ gṛheṣu saktānāṁ, pramattānām tad-īhayā, atyakrāmat avijñātaḥ, kālaḥ parama-dustaraḥ, evam, thus, gṛheṣu, in the family affairs, saktānām, of persons who are too attached, pramattānām, insanely attached, tad-īhayā, engrossed in such thoughts, atyakrāmat, surpassed, avijñātaḥ, imperceptibly, kālaḥ, eternal time, parama, supremely, dustaraḥ, insurmountable. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Insurmountable, eternal time imperceptibly overcomes those who are too much attached to family affairs and are always engrossed in their thought. Purport. I am now happy. I have everything in order. My bank balance is quite enough. I can give my children enough estate. I am now successful. The poor beggar sannyāsīs depend on God, but they come to beg from me. Therefore, I am more than the Supreme God. These are some of the thoughts which engross the insanely attached householder who is blind to the passing of eternal time. Our duration of life is measured, and no one is able to enhance it even by a second against the scheduled time ordained by the Supreme Will. Such valuable time, especially for the human being, should be cautiously spent, because even a second passed away imperceptibly cannot be replaced, even in exchange for thousands of golden coins amassed by hard labor. Even a second of human life is meant Every second of human life is meant for making an ultimate solution to the problem of life, such as repetition of birth and death and revolving in the cycle of 8,400,000 different species of life. The material body, which is subject to birth and death, disease and old age, is the cause of all sufferings of the living being. Otherwise, the living being is eternal. He is never born, nor does he ever die. Foolish persons forget this problem. They do not know at all how to solve the problem of life, but become engrossed in temporary family affairs, not knowing that eternal time is passing away imperceptibly and that their measured duration of life is diminishing every second without any solution to the big problem, namely repetition of birth and death, disease and old age. This is called illusion. But such illusion cannot work on one who is awake in the devotional service to the Lord. Yudhishthira Maharaj and his brothers, the Pandavas, were all engaged in the service of the Lord Sri Krishna, and they had very little attraction for the illusory happiness of this material world. As we have discussed previously, Maharaj Yudhishthira was fixed in the service of the Lord Mukunda, the Lord who can avert salvation, and therefore he had no attraction even for such comforts of life as are available in the Brahmaloka, in the kingdom of heaven, because even the happiness obtained on the planet Brahmaloka is always temporary and illusory. Because the living being is eternal, he can be happy only in the eternal abode of the kingdom of God, Paravyoma, from which no one returns to this region of repeated birth and death, disease and old age. Therefore, any comfort of life or any material happiness which does not warrant an eternal life is but illusion for the eternal living being. One who understands this factually is learned, and such a learned person can sacrifice any amount of material happiness to achieve the desired goal known as Brahmasukham or absolute happiness. Real transcendentalists are hungry for this happiness, and as a hungry man cannot be made happy by all comforts of life minus foodstuffs, so the man hungry for eternal absolute happiness cannot be satisfied by any amount of material happiness. Therefore, the instruction described in this verse cannot be applied to Maharaj Yudhishthira or his brothers and mother. It was meant for persons like Dhritarashtra, for whom Vidura came especially to impart lessons. Hare Krishna. So we see the teachings of Vidura practically applied. He is coming to basically help his brother. Now, his brother, or Dhritarashtra, he may not know that he should appreciate it because he's attached. But Vidura, being a Vaishnava, so he is very compassionate. So he's coming. He's coming anyway. And he is telling them, Dhritarashtra, that basically he should get detached from any of the materialistic activities and he should get out. So, we see the compassion of the living entities, well, the Vaishnavas for the living entities. And now this is something very exemplary. And in today's world, what we see, this is very much applicable. When somebody may say, Bhagavatam, this is very old, it's applied, I mean, it's 5,000 years old, this story, so not applicable today, then that's false. The principle of these are applicable at all time, and specifically in today's situation. What's happening now? We see that the people are more and more engrossed in instant gratification, and for them it becomes now the meaning of life. They just want more sense gratification. They are engrossed in illusion. All these, how they are getting into the virtual reality, this is all illusion. There are people nowadays, there are people who prefer to be living in some illusory virtual world rather than in the real world. There are, in some countries, developed countries, they have even boys, men, young men, and they are detached from sex. So they seemingly live like a brahmacharis. They have their own ashrams. But the activity, what they do, basically they only focus on playing some computer games. So that's their focus. So they don't have time for sex. They get into different sense gratification. Now it's even more engrossing as they get into virtual reality. Because the virtual reality, like we see movies, say 50 years ago, then there were some black and white, there was very grainy, it was not a good quality. Now, if you look at the movie, then it's 4K. So it's perfect detail, it looks real. You get 3D movie. You can be in the movie, you can feel that it's around you, you are in it. And so it becomes more realistic. Before, you had to have the people, and everything has to be set for the movie to be made. Now, most of the things are just computer graphics. They just create it. They make whatever they want, and it looks more and more realistic. So people are being more and more fooled that this is real. Now you have they call it a deep fake news. They basically can take any person and they can create a video in which the person can do or say anything they want. And you will not see the difference. You will think that this is the person speaking. So politicians can use it. They can make somebody say something, and even though it's a fake, but for some time, people will believe it. And always the first impression is the most important. So if that happens, and somebody comes denouncing it, maybe they will listen. But anyway, maybe not. Maybe he did say that. Can ruin a person, can change things by the media. It's very sophisticated. So people don't know now. When you read some news, you don't know whether it's real or not real. It's confusing. So, people don't know. It's insecurity. They are unsure. And this is the material energy. It works according to the modes. So when there is goodness predominant, then things are nice, peaceful, balanced. When there is rajas predominant, then it's going to be very active. No? The extremes are going to be very much in place. So left and right, fighting. And when the tamaguna, or the ignorance, is predominant, there is no activity. Everything is dull. And that's bad. So, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out, we have got this human form of life. And we are supposed to utilize, and he's not talking about years or months, he's talking about seconds. Every second in our life should be properly utilized. Because when it comes to, and our time here in this material world is over, we cannot buy even a second extra. Now, you may be millionaire or billionaire, but still you cannot buy. And once you die, all these millions and billions of dollars which you may have, stay here. You don't have them with you. You cannot use them. You cannot bribe Yamaraj. You see, you will have no money. No. There it comes to, and no, the Yamarutas, they will read to you, what you have done, and because of that, that's what's happening. Done. No, please, no, give me some time. No, you cannot get. For devotees, it's a different measure. But there is very important element that the devotee should also practice devotional activities and should be sincere in those devotional activities. Of course, we have some exceptional cases mentioned in Bhagavatam, right? So we see that Ajamil, he was a good brahmachari, but he fell down. And then after he fell down, he lived with the prostitute, he had children with her. But he was still, in core of his heart, he was still remembering the Lord. But he was so engrossed, he just didn't know that. But because of his connection, because of his remembrance being a good brahmachari, he still named his son Narayan. And it was his favorite son. And when it came to that he is about to leave, then he got scared. Especially when he sees the Yamarutas coming, because now, for you, we have a special arrangement. You are a fallen Brahmana. Your sinful activities are very serious. So he got scared. And when he got scared and still conscious, then he called his son, because he thought his son may help him. But it was sort of agyata, But there was the connection from before. So he was calling his son, but actually by naming his son Narayan, he was calling the Lord. So he got another chance, calling the Lord. Then he was not attached at that point, he was very scared. So therefore, even one chanting of the holy name worked on him. So he got purified. And Yamarutas were there, Vishnudutas come. And then there is a discussion. Yamarutas were completely perplexed. Now, what are you doing here? He is ours. No. He chanted the holy name. When he chanted the holy name, his heart got purified because he was not attached. So he's ours. So, Yamarutas, they respect Vishnudutas. Okay, we don't know that. Okay, well, if you say so. So, he immediately wasn't eligible to go to Vaikuntha, but he got another chance. And he remembered his experience. So immediately he practiced devotional activities. And he went to Vaikuntha afterwards. We see Bharat Maharaj also had very great fortune. He was a great devotee, but was little attached, here and there, and at the end of his life, or towards the end, then he was so compassionate and so got so attached to a small deer. Mother died, deer alone, so he took care of him. But he took care of him such a way, so he neglected his devotional duties. So when it comes to, and he was leaving his body, he was thinking about the deer. What will happen to him now? And because that was the last thought, then he got born as deer. Now, the Lord, he remembered. He was Lord is very compassionate. He's Bhakta Vatsala. He is our best friend. So now he sees, okay, well, Bharat Maharaj, was not thinking of me, but he is pure soul, and he is ready. But he gets the body of the deer, but in the body, he knows who he was. He knows what happened. And he is aware what he is supposed to do. So as a little deer, he immediately just realized the situation and he split from his mother. And very soon he died. He was completely detached. So from that, immediately he got another life. He got the opportunity to be born again as a human being in the family of a Brahmana. But there also, he knew his previous lives. So he knew, I don't want to get engrossed into anything. I just want to remember the Lord. So what am I supposed to do? What's the best thing to do? I'll pretend I'm crazy. I'm just dumb. I don't understand anything. And people will leave me alone. And that's what happened. His father was compassionate. He was trying to teach him some Brahmanical standards. No, I don't want, I'm dumb. I'm dull. I don't know anything. I'm crazy. So, his brothers were not compassionate to him. So when the father dies, they chased him away. So he is going crazy, naked, rolling in the ground. No, people leave him alone. But when it comes to, and then he is taken as to carry the palanquin of Maharaj Rahugana, he is very compassionate. So he doesn't want to step on ants, and then he's jumping with the palanquin. The king, he gets upset, chastises him, but then when he sees, oh, he is actually a Brahmana, and when he starts preaching to him, then the king is fully surrendered. He understands that. So, preaching or studying Krishna consciousness, practicing Krishna consciousness, preaching Krishna consciousness, these are the activities which anybody will appreciate, but those who are so engrossed, they may have difficulty. But that's the nature of the soul, but it's covered by the conditioning. By these activities, by preaching, it will be removed. So, as Srila Prabhupada is always encouraging, go and preach. Study my books and preach what's written in my books. Preach how to practically apply those teachings. That's what Srila Prabhupada wants. And now, the situation is more than favorable. It's coming. People are suffering. The suffering is going to be, even more. What are we going to do? How are we going to react? Are we going to react to, the material situation is getting worse, so then we are suffering and we suffer also? There will be some difficulties, but if we look at the case of Pandavas, what difficulties they have to endure to maintain their Krishna consciousness. They were being abused by the Kauravas. They went through so many difficulties. So many times there was an attempt on their life. And they are just remembering Krishna. And those difficult times when they had in the forest, when they finally come back, so then when the opportunity, now they are living in the palace and they have their own way, enjoyment. What is Queen Kunti asking for? Please let me go back to the forest. Over there, well, that's the best place, because we were in the forest with Krishna. So when there is Krishna, there is no calamity. Everything is taken care of. Everybody is protected. So it's about the protection. Who takes care? When the living entity feels disturbed, because of no shelter, there is a disturbance. There is a distress. And when the living entity is not dependent on the Lord, then it's terrible. I lost my job. Now, I have no income. I cannot pay my mortgage. What will happen? I will lose my house, and the whole family will have to live on the street. I have no option. These people, bankers, they are so calculated. As soon as a student graduates from the school, then they want to have some, first, then in some states, some countries, then they get loan for studies. And as soon as they're working, they have to pay back. They want to live with their family. So they have to have something, to start with. So the bank gives loan. So you take loan. And you pay as it goes. And the loan, very often, 25, 30 years. So 30 years you are subscribed to that you will be paying the interest or the loan you took. And if you fail to pay, there's always a chance the house is going to be taken from you. Insecurity. People, but they want to live in a higher level of sense gratification or enjoyment than they can afford. But that's how the economic works. They want you to get into the system, to pay, to work, to spend. That's the economics. You have to become a consumer. You have to work and you have to spend. Then the money circulates, goes around. And that's how it works. If you try to save the money, then it's a problem, because then the economics don't work properly. So they don't want you to do that. You need to spend. So there's the encouragement. So now, we should not do that. We should be looking for how to properly utilize our time. So Srila Prabhupada, he wanted us to create communities. You can say farm communities or Varnashrama communities, where everybody then works according to their capacity, engaged according to the nature. And the production from that will be such that the community is self-sufficient. There is somewhere in Italy, there is some family, I don't know exactly where, but they live very simply. They have fruit orchard, they have some gardens, they grow their own vegetables, and they don't use money at all. They don't need. They have water, they have food, they have everything they need. They need to repair something on the roof, they have wood. So that's available. So they don't need anything from the government. And they are happy. Devotees should also come to the point, and there should be some self-sufficient communities, which we are not dependent. The community can produce everything what they need. Then there is a security. Security in the sense that everything is provided for. But food is not enough. The securities which the living entity is looking for, then ultimately it's Krishna. But if we still don't know Krishna, if we don't realize who Krishna is, then we will look for the securities, the food we said. But there will be medical insurance, right? What happens to me when I get sick? What will happen with my children? how will they get educated? Who will guarantee that? Where am I going to stay? I need some facility for me, for my family. Right? Those are like the basic securities then the conditioned living entity is looking for. And not, if they are in place, then we can be comfortable. Okay, now I can do something. For devotees, they also need the same. They need place to stay. They need to know that if I get sick, if I get old, somebody will take care. If I have some needs, the gṛheṣus, they have their children, I want to know that my children will be educated somewhere properly. If devotees know that, then taking up devotional service, then it's easier. Okay, I'm peaceful. So chanting Hare Krishna, Maha Mantra, going to the temple, spending time with the devotees. Yes, fine, that's very good because I know that I'm being taken care of. But what if something is not right? The devotee has no means to pay the rent. So he will be in distress. There's nothing to eat. He will be in distress. My children, I don't know what to do with them. He will be in distress. And unfortunately, when devotee gets distressed, so the first thing will be to compromise devotional activities. I don't have time to chant japa because I have to make money, because I have to pay my bills. Or I have to go and I have to look for, where will I put my children? Or my wife is sick, so I have to take care, I cannot chant. I cannot read. So, when we have the community, so in the community, these things that every member of the community must feel the security, must feel the shelter. The community must be very close. People must be devotees, must be very helpful to each other. Then, when there's a cooperation, then it properly works. People feel secure. When there is a security, then devotional activities go much easier. And the progress of the whole community happens very easily. Good community, then it always depends on the level of respect for each other. Respect is the most important element for the community to function. We have to learn to respect each other, and within the community, then the members, but we have to also learn to respect ultimately every living entity. We have to learn how to respect devotees. We have to learn how to respect people outside. We have to learn how to respect the animals. When we develop that respect, manadena, then we will be able to develop also tolerance. So that when the devotees start working on the Trinarapi Sunichana, Tararapi Sayashana, Amanina Maradena, these four qualities, when they are developed, then the devotional service, it's very easy. because we feel sheltered. We feel sheltered among the devotees in the community, and Kirtaniya Sadahari, it's easy to practice. We feel sheltered by the Lord. It's very important. I was in Europe actually, recently. The situation is not good. Devotees are very distressed. The situation now with the COVID, economical situation. So, they don't know. The securities are very unclear. So some devotees, they are taking shelter more of Krishna, but some devotees, they are very much disturbed. And Srila Prabhupada is explaining here, we are attached to the material world, and therefore, if the situation it's becoming, it's disturbed, then we become distressed. But that's not what we should do. We should take it, it's a sukha dukkha. Yesterday it was more happiness, today is more distress, but it will go over. Let's practice devotional activities. But practicing devotional activities on their own, it's difficult. Therefore, in the community, it is much easier. So we should see now how we can help to develop such a community in which the members will respect each other, that the grihastas respect brahmacharis respect grihastas. Like in the West, I say it's not natural, it's not common. It is natural, it should be, but it's not really happening. It is more competition. And therefore, as such, in the West communities, it's very rare to see. It's just some devotees living together. But cooperation, it's not very common. So to do that, then we have to learn to respect and tolerate. Every person is different. Every person has different needs. So when we see that the person is not according to my imagination, how it should be, that does not mean that we have the right to disrespect the person. To develop relationship, we have to understand that for relationship we need two people. It's you and the other. And what kind of relationship you develop, it depends on both of you. You may want to have a relationship with someone, but when the other person does not want to have the relationship with you, you cannot have good relationship. Look at Ekalavya and Dronacharya. Ekalavya accepted Dronacharya as his guru, but Dronacharya did not approve of it. There is no relationship. So, when you want to have a relationship and the person wants to have a relationship with you, so then, what's the commonality between the desires of those two souls, those two jivas, that deep the relationship be? That's how it is. So now, if I want to accept the person as he is, and know what it is, that he is able to accept me as I am, then you can have good relationship. There is a commonality and it's mutual respect. But if I'm already thinking that I want to have the relationship because I want to use the person for my purposes, it's not a relationship. Nowadays, maybe somebody calls it like that, but it's very shallow. So, I have to learn to respect the person as he is, not thinking about, I'll change him to what I want him to be. That will not work. And in relationship, then you have affection, you have attachment. Both are always present. Only Krishna has pure affection for the jivas. Everybody else, no. In between the relationships, there is always mix. Mother for a child, this is as pure as it can get affection. But when we talk about friendship, it's always that, okay, yeah, I would like to do something for the person, but of course, I expect that he will do something for me later or now. So I do this, you give me this, and we are quit. Some say it's a relationship, but it's business, it's not a relationship. So we should see how we can increase the affection for people and therefore develop deeper relationships and not trying then to be attached to the person's activity or using the person for one's own means. The affection and the attachment, they look very similar, but affection is what I want to do for the person. Attachment is what I want in the relationship, the person to use for myself. So, affection should be always predominating on attachment for the relationship to work well. So, and that should be done in the communities. The respect is there, and tolerance, being humble, and eventually then also practicing that we don't expect too much for ourselves. So if we can do that, then we can feel sheltered. Feel sheltered now, feel sheltered by Krishna. We can live in the community very happily because we will feel very blissful. Our consciousness will raise. But when there is some disturbance, then we will be in distress. And if we are in distress in Krishna consciousness, like in Kunti, fine. But unfortunately, most of the time the distress comes and devotional activities go away. This is where the community is very good, because you can help your friend, because you have influence on the friend, because you have a relationship with the friend. And therefore, you can help him. You can help him maybe economically, or you can help him with philosophy, you can help him by any means. The person feels immediately, your friend feels, I'm sheltered, I have a shelter, I have a friend. To have real friends in this world is the most valuable treasure. There's nothing more than that. No money can buy friendship. So, yeah, that's what I have seen. Situation can definitely improve, say it like that. So now if we can take it more seriously and start contemplating about what we can do about how to improve our relationship with devotees, our commitment to Srila Prabhupada's teachings, and what can we do to be able to preach our own realizations. But before that, then we have to get into studying and practicing the teaching of Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Now we are going to be in distress for another 2 days because the rain is coming, right? There's some cyclone. So the forecast is it's going to rain 2 days continuously. What we will do? Well, we can just sit and chant, focus more on Hare Krishna, Maha Mantra, read more books, because outside it will be very difficult. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Question? Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj, for the beautiful class. So, Maharaj, as you said about this community, devotees community, so there are already the centers worldwide, ISKCON centers are there worldwide. So, but to make this kind of community where we are self-sufficient in terms of foods and the basic necessities of life, so these kind of communities are possible in the cities also, or only like Mayapur or somewhere like that?
They are possible in the cities, but see, it's about the consciousness. Now, most of the devotees, they are attached to the facilities of what the city gives. Because you have everything there, you have nice apartments. So to live somewhere like a simple living life, it's for some very difficult. You go to some farm, mosquitoes are there. No, that's the first thing, right? Then you have to work. No, you do. You don't work, you don't eat. No, it's people, many people, also devotees, they are being more and more detached from the nature as such. And therefore coming back to nature, it's more and more difficult. So, there are attachments, there are conditionings. They can go for some time, live somewhere nicely, rent some house, but living that as like a whole life, for many it's unthinkable, very difficult. So now, to create some other facilities such a way so that even those devotees will be attracted and able to live, that's a one solution, immediate solution can be done. You see, like you have some facilities in Vrindavan and Mayapur, even for people then who have some more needs. That's good. So then they feel sheltered and they can be then absorbed in devotional activities. But ultimately, see, we should be focusing on our children. So, Srila Prabhupada, he was giving many instructions that children should be trained properly, and especially the boys should be trained properly in austerity. When the boys experience austerity, then they are able to recollect that later on in their lives, being unafraid to again get into austerity. They have experienced it, they know that it's not so bad, and they can do. But if they don't have the experience, then they become very dependent. They become very manipulated by their own mind, by others. It's difficult. Oh, austerity? No, I cannot do. I don't know what it means. I just read only. No, I cannot do that. I cannot live in some simple place. But if they have experienced that, then it's easily possible. So our investment should be into children, according to Srila Prabhupada's instructions. No, train them such a way so then they don't have, it's not that they have horrible time. We think that we need to supply all kind of like latest gadgets to the children to be happy. So we must assume that now only children are happy, but all these thousands and thousands of times or years before, the children must have been always unhappy because they didn't have iPhone, right? But if you look, children were very happy. Even now you see in India, they get together, they just play some games, and you see that happiness. They don't need the iPhone for that. They are happy just to play sadguti, running around. They develop their intelligence, skills. They become very functional people, intelligent people. So that's what we can do. Immediate solution, yes, but we should be looking for the further solution. Train our children in such a way so then they will be able to actually fully develop these communities based on the simple living, high thinking. Hare Krishna. Any? Okay, the last question, one more.
Mentioned a self-sufficient community in Italy, but it sounds like you were talking about something that's not Vaishnava community. I know that we have they bought a property called Villa Vrindavan near Florence.
Mm-hmm.
So what went wrong? Why didn't that become the self-sufficient community that you're talking about that has all their food and everything within one place?
I see it from my observation is that there was not enough. I mean, it's still lacking the respect among the members to try to cooperate. And from what I see, that the respect among the gṛheṣas and brahmacharis, at least that's what I observe. Now, there is a way how we can develop that the brahmacharis respect the gṛheṣas and the gṛheṣas respect the brahmacharis. The brahmacharis, what's their duties? Their duties is to take care of, say like you have a temple. You have a temple, around the temple you have a community. Now, the brahmacharis, they live in the temple, they have the time to study, they have time to take care of the deities. Now they go for preaching, but they are not the ones supposed to be making money to maintain the temple. So to do that, they depend. The brahmacharis are children. They depend on the gṛheṣas to take care. So then the brahmacharis should respect the gṛheṣas because they take care of them. So they don't have to run around and make money. But what they do, they take care of the deities. So when the gṛheṣas come into the temple, then everything should be very nicely done because then the brahmacharis do take nice care. They study. When they study, then they practice. When they practice, where they go? They go and preach. Whom do they preach? They should preach the gṛheṣas. They should organize programs for them. They should share their realizations with the gṛheṣas. The gṛheṣas don't have so much time as the brahmacharis do to study and to preach because they have to take care of their families. So the gṛheṣas can respect the brahmacharis that they have they are sharing with them their realizations. So I see that as a base of functioning community. Because you see now, like in Vila Vrindavan, they had the Gurukula there. They lost it. They didn't need it, or I don't know, it was, they sold it. But Gurukula, it's a crucial point in developing a community. You may work on something now, but the effect of our working now, it's not going to manifest very soon. We are talking about generations. So our effort should go on immediate, but more effort should go for the future. So our children has to be trained properly to be able to understand. They will be of higher consciousness than we are. They will understand more than we are understanding. But we have to give them the chance. So Srila Prabhupada never wanted children to go to the karmic schools. He calls it the slaughterhouse because of the consciousness being so. So he wanted the communities having the Gurukulas. So that's the investment. So when I see a community which they have proper care of children, I see quite comfortably this community will prosper. But when there is no care of children and the community very freely just giving children to study wherever, whatever, it's not going to prosper very well. So, yeah. Hare Krishna. Jai Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki